Guys, in this tutorial we're going to understand what is Tinker and how to handle the database. Okay, so guys, Laravel Artisan's Tinker is actually a REPEL, which is read, eval, print loop, which is going to help you to interact your application with your application and the database. Okay, so it provides you a medium to interact with the database. You can use command line, okay, and you can use the Tinker commands, okay, and then you'll be able to interact with the database through command line. How you do in MySQL, similarly you can do it over here with Tinker as well. Okay. So it's an interactive language shell, and it takes or reads in a single user input, evaluates it, and returns the result to the user. So it does basically all the job for you. If you want to interact with the database, like insert something or delete something, update something, or get some information from the database on the command line, you can use that by running the PHP Artisan Tinker and then some of the commands inside of them that the Eloquent provides to you. Okay, and to run Tinker, basically you just need to run this command, which is PHP Artisan Tinker. But before that, I'm not sure whether we have covered this in the previous video. Just want to run through about where does all the database settings exist for your project. So you just need to go to .env file over here, and it says the database connection, which is MySQL, database host, database port. You just need to make sure that you create a database and you put the name of the database here. So I think I might have already created a database. I'll just go to SQL Pro. So remember guys, I'm using Valet. If you guys are using Windows, then you can just use the PHP MyAdmin. It works the same way, but it's just that to run the project you run the PHP Artisan serve. Over here you don't have to do that. So I think I've already created the database name, which is MyDB. I've already created that. If you haven't already, you can create one with this name or a different name for your, and define the same name over here. And then my password is root. Sorry, username is root, and my password is also root. So you can define your username and your password, whatever it is, at this point at this place. Okay, so once you do that, guys, obviously we just need to go to command line. So let's go over here. Open a new tab. Let's close the previous one. I'm going to go into my directory where I have the project installed. So it's installed inside the valid directory, and the name of the project is my new project. So once I've gone inside of that, I'm going to run PHP Artisan Tinker. And you can see that you are into the shell now. Okay, and that's what it means. This is basically the interactive language shell, which allows you to interact with the database and perform the database actions, like kind of a CRUD functionality as well. Okay, now so you have the different tables you can see. Then you have users, you have posts, you have password resets, migrations, all of that over here. So these are basically the predefined tables. So if you go over here inside of database, go to migration directory, you can see that you have the this is the migration file basically, which is having the definition of all the columns of the table, like you have emails and token and timestamp and all of that stuff. For the password resets, and you have it for the user, which is ID, name, email, and password, and those are the same columns over here, which is ID, name, email, password, and the remember token is coming from here, and the timestamp is the responsible for created add and updated add columns. Okay, so all of this is there, and all you have to do just before you get into this, you just need to run PHP Artisan migrate. Okay, access denied for the user root at. Okay, I think the password for myself is blank and not root. Okay, let's see. Okay, nothing to migrate. So I think I've already migrated, but in case if you haven't, if it's a fresh project that you're working with, just run the PHP Artisan migrate command in order to make sure that these tables are created over here. These migration files are used to create the tables. So I've already created the tables, that's fine. I'll go back and run PHP artisan Tinker. I'm into the Tinker now. I need to insert some values into the database tables. Okay, so how do we do that? So guys, to insert any value, there are two ways. First, either you can use the normal MySQL way of doing it, or you can also use the eloquent way of doing this. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the eloquent way of inserting the data in the database. So all you have to do is basically, if you want to go ahead and insert the users into the user table, all you have to do is just create a variable over here and name it as whatever you want to. Yeah, I'm naming it as user, and say equal to, and then you see a new, and then it's inside of the app directory, and then and then you write user, and this way. And I just show you what this means basically. So user is basically your model. So I'm going to close all of this. So if you go inside the app directory, that's what we mean over here inside of the app directory. If you go to users.php, so this is basically your users model. Okay, so basically if you can see over here, this is the model that allows you to perform different database actions and gives you access to different eloquent methods. Okay, so you can do this. Okay, so now you have your user variable, which is containing basically the entire user table data. Okay, so now you can perform some actions. So if, for example, if you want to insert something, so all you have to do is just say in user arrow, and then what do you want to insert? I want to insert inside of the name column, so I want to insert a name. So all you have to do is say name is equal to, and then I say Imran. Okay, so you can see the Imran is inserted, right? Okay, obviously nothing is showing over here is just yet because we haven't saved it, so we will use the save function later on, but let's insert some other data as well. So I want to insert email and I want to insert password. Okay, so let's say same, I'm going to do same thing, but this time instead of name I'll use email, and I'll set the value of email is equal to imran@gmail.com. okay, you can see that has been added, and now I'll put the password. So I'll say user password is equal to, and let's say my password will be 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, so password is added. Obviously this will not be added in the same format, it will be added in the encrypted form, okay, automatically by Tinker. So now all you have to do is just save it. So we'll say user save, and it says true, which means the data has been inserted. If it was false, then it wouldn't have been inserted. So now if you refresh the page, refresh it, you can now see that you've got Imran automatically is taking the ID as 1. You've got the email address, you've got the password. So you can see now that password is not encrypted, so probably I think we do need to use an encrypt function to be able to insert the data into encrypted form. Okay, so guys, we'll go ahead and create another record with the hashed password. So again, we'll go ahead and do user is equal to app, which is the app directory, and then okay, then user, which is the user model name, okay, and then bracket. I think I missed something. Yeah, I didn't do new before this. Okay, new. Okay, and then we'll say user. I think I might have that already. Yeah, so this time we'll change the name to let's say John. Okay, and then we'll change the password. So for password, guys, what we're gonna use is basically, okay, I think we have to do email first. So it's email is equal to, I'll say email, or say John at gmail.com. You can see that's been added as well, but it's not saved yet. Okay, you don't necessarily need to put a semicolon, but if you do, that's fine. Then we need to put the passwords. We say user password is equal to, you need to use the hash and then colon, so hash class, and then say make, and whatever password you want to put, like my pass or whatever. So what this is going to do is basically going to hash the password for you and save that for you. So you can see this is the hash password. Okay, and last but not the least, you need to put the I think that's it, right? You don't have to put anything else. All I have to do now is just save it. So you say user save true, which means it's been saved in the database. Now if you go and refresh, you can see this is the hash password now. So this is not the normal password is going into the database, it's going into the hashed format. Okay, great. So this is how basically you would use Tinker to insert the data into the database. What if you want to show the database? How would you do that? So we'll check that as well. So we're going to go to, again, if you want to get out of the Tinker, just do exit. So let's go back to the Tinker. So PHP Artisan Tinker. Okay, now if let's say I want to see the data, basically I want to see all the users. Okay, so how do we do that? So we'll say user is equal to, and then say app, and say user model, and I'll say all, and then the bracket. You can now see that I've got two users basically. So in the previous one, you learn how to go ahead and insert the data using Tinker, and now you learn how to display the data. Okay, so you've got all the users. So all method is basically, and these all are the eloquent method, guys. So eloquent is basically kind of the way you use MySQL as well, but eloquent would make your job a lot easier by going ahead and providing you with different set of functions, different methods, so that it will make your job a lot easier when it comes to CRUD functionality, which is create, read, update, and delete. So now you can see how to display it. If you want to display a particular one, let's say you want the user with the ID of 1, then in that case all you have to do is just say app user, you'll say find, okay, find, and then you'll say the ID number. So let's say I want the first one. So you can see you've got the first user. Okay, this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing this is basically, instead of saying find, you will say where. Okay, so you say where, and then you'll say I want, let's try name this time instead of ID. So I want to get the data where the name is John. Okay, so name and the value. Okay, and then you have to do get after this. So you have to use the get method after this. Say get and then bracket. So you can now see that it's giving you the data of the user with the ID of, with the name of John. Okay, so in this way, guys, you can, there are several different methods that you can use in the Tinker to be able to get the data. I don't know why someone would want to go ahead and use Tinker unless if you want to just check the data before inserting into the database, or if you want to check the data what's being displayed before you actually use that code into your project. That's how I personally use it, but you may have a different reason for using it, just to be able to see what's going on in the database. Great. Okay, so this is how you do this. All right, so explain what is database NB, creating database table. Okay guys, so in the next video, guys, we're going to learn how to go ahead and create the database. If we want to create a new table, if you want to go ahead and insert some data into it using different files. You're going to learn all of that in the next video. Okay, see you then. Bye bye.